Hackers take Vegas, Microsoft open sources code, and geek diversity coming to a billboard near you. Tech News Tonight is next.
This is Twit.
This is Tech News Tonight, episode 397 for Thursday, August 6th, 2015. This episode of Tech News Tonight is brought to you by Casper, an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price, because everyone deserves a great night's sleep. Get $50 off any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/TN2 and enter the promo code TN2. Welcome, I am Megan Maroney. Today I'm going to talk to Megan Rose Dickey from TechCrunch about diversity in tech. But first, let's get to the tech headlines. Back in April at the Microsoft Build conference, the company announced Windows Bridge, one of 4 tools designed to help developers rework Android and iOS apps so they can run on Windows 10. Today in the Windows blog, Microsoft VP Kevin Gallo said interested developers can take an early look at the Windows Bridge for iOS. Presumably, these tools will enable iOS developers to create Windows apps using existing Objective-C code. The final release of Windows Bridge and the other 3 tools will happen later this fall, but as of today, the project has been officially open-sourced on GitHub. You've probably noticed an uptick in malware and hacking news this week. That's because even hackers need to congregate once in a while. This week is Black Hat, the annual conference in Las Vegas where security researchers can get their hack on, as the kids say. I'm not sure that's what the kids say, so I won't say it again. Most of this news you're hearing from me does not mean you should head to the underground bunker and destroy all your internet-connected devices, Tom Brady style. I am just letting you know so that you're aware, for example, that researchers will be presenting at Black Hat the claim that hackers can remotely steal fingerprints from Android phones built by Samsung, HTC, and Huawei. Researchers report that there are some severe issues with the current Android fingerprint framework that have long been neglected by vendors and users. In other hacking news, last month we told you that professional hackers for hire, the hacking team, had been hacked. Documents relating to their business were released online, and after some poor soul spent endless hours digging through those documents, we now know some of the damage that the hacking team has been up to. The Next Web pointed us to FireEye, the researchers who discovered that the hacking team managed to reverse engineer WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, Chrome, and other apps to steal your phone data. An iOS remote control system was able to hack jailbroken iPhones, and the hackers even had access to non-jailbroken iPhones. FireEye discovered the vulnerability last year and reported it to Apple, which has since patched it, but it wasn't until they uncovered the documents from the hacking team that anyone knew that the hack had been used in the wild. Coming up, how one startup empowers youth of color and why a bunch of geeks really hate this week's Time magazine cover. But first, this episode of Tech News Tonight is brought to you by Casper. Casper is an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the cost. They are revolutionizing the mattress industry by cutting the cost of dealing with resellers and showrooms and passing that savings directly to the consumer. 2 technologies, latex and memory foam, come together for better nights and brighter days. It's a comfortable mattress that has just the right sink and bounce, providing long-lasting comfort and support. You can buy it easily online and completely risk-free. Casper understands the importance of trying out a mattress, so you can try sleeping on a Casper mattress today. Casper offers free delivery and painless returns within a 100-day period. It comes in a box and then expands to its normal size. It is kind of magical. Get a Casper mattress, $500 for a twin or $950 for king. And you can save an additional $50 as one of our audience members by going to casper.com/TN2. Just enter the promo code TN2. That's casper.com/TN2 and the promo code TN2. Today, I'm excited to welcome brand new TechCrunch reporter Megan Rose Dickey. Megan focuses on diversity in the tech industry, which is obviously a bigger conversation than we can have in the next 10 minutes, but we will do our best. Welcome, Megan.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
So this is your second week at TechCrunch?
Yep. My first day was last Monday.
And everybody's treating you well there?
Oh, yeah, everyone's super nice. I'm already feeling like I'm part of the team. So, yeah, it's been great so far.
Well, I saw you on Crunch Week last week.
Did you? Oh, how did I do? I didn't. I actually haven't watched it, and like I'm weird about seeing myself on camera. So.
You did great. So I'll
be on it again tomorrow. So I guess I did something right.
So let's start with one of the stories you wrote this week about the White House Demo Day. It was meant for entrepreneurs to show off their projects, but the president and U.S. Chief Technology Officer, also named Megan Smith, used it as a platform to encourage diversity in tech. What were some of the initiatives put forward?
Yeah, some around actually working with VC firms in Silicon Valley and really trying to promote diversity within the Valley, which is just interesting, just given the given the disconnect that we've seen between Silicon Valley and the government over the last couple of years.
So they talked a little bit about the Rooney Rule that was first adopted by the NFL. It says no senior position should be filled without at least one minority candidate. Explain how the administration has been trying to bring this thinking to the tech industry.
Yeah, so the thinking there is that, so obviously, I mean, you've just seen like a lot of the diversity reports that have come out, and there are very few people from underrepresented backgrounds in these leadership positions. And so the idea with that is that like with implementing the Rooney Rule could actually help with retention. So that is if you see someone from your background in that leadership role, then that's kind of more reassuring to you. It might make you want to stick around at the company and actually see that you actually could advance in that company, and it's not just going to be, and like those leadership positions aren't just for white men, basically.
Right, which is what we've been seeing a lot. Why do you think diversity in tech is so important?
I mean, let's see. I mean, it's the biggest industry right now in the country, and if we don't have diversity in such a visible place, then I mean, we're not really setting a good example. And I mean, that's kind of it in a nutshell, really.
Right. I mean, technology is essentially, it's like people say, like the third person in the room. It touches every part of our lives.
Right.
And
exactly.
I mean, it's so different than anything else we've experienced, and so it is a shame when people aren't fully representative because these companies are making so many changes that affect so many parts of our lives.
Yeah, and then also, I mean, of course, when you have, as you said, the tech industry is, it's involved in all different facets of our life, of our society, and so if you don't have a diverse perspective, kind of going in, like I'm thinking about right now, actually, what happened in like the Google search. I think this was maybe within like the last month or so. Just actually, I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I think it had something to do with, I think there was like a photo of like a monkey or something, and then...
Yeah, it was Google Photos. It was, it was tagged as, it was two African-American teenagers, and they were tagged as gorillas.
Exactly. So it's like, things like that could happen. Like, I mean, of course, I mean, that's not to say that like, oh, like if there had been more Black engineers on the team, that wouldn't have happened. Like, who knows? But I mean... things like that. It's like maybe that would not have slipped through the cracks if there had been more minority engineers at Google. But of course, it's hard to say right now.
Right. It's hard to say, except for you can say that they are underrepresented. So you can say that.
Totally.
Yeah. So we reported earlier this week on the I Look Like an Engineer hashtag. And to recap the story, it was a female engineer. She agreed to be part of a recruiting ad that was in BART and Muni. And then there was a backlash and a lot of complaints that, oh, they just used a model, or that because she looked sexy, they weren't doing a good job attracting female engineers. She had, her smile was too sexy.
Which is just like, yeah, it's she just looks like a person. Like, right. Okay, but yeah.
Yes.
But yes, that's what people were saying. Yes.
And then so she wrote a post on Medium meant to educate people that all engineers aren't white men, showing diversity is the best way to increase diversity. And you have a story today about a Kickstarter project that sprung up from the campaign. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, so it's actually an Indiegogo, but same idea, really. And it's actually already passed its funding goal. But so basically, after she kind of wrote that Medium article, it really picked up a lot of steam on the internet. And over like the last couple of days, people have been posting photos of themselves, well, actually specifically engineers. And they're kind of like holding up a sign saying like, with the hashtag, I look like an engineer. And you can just kind of see that engineers, like they're not just white men, like they're people of all different backgrounds, ages, what have you. Yeah, you can see right there on the screen. Yeah, so it's really quite a diverse set of people. And so now there's a group of 3 people on Indiegogo, a few engineers who are now raising money to actually put up a billboard in San Francisco. And it's actually funny. Someone tweeted at me today and they said, like, yeah, it'd be great to see that billboard as opposed to, I don't know if you've seen the ones with, I forget which company this is for, but it's like the guy in his underwear who's like posing on his side and he has this hairy chest and it's about engineering. So basically, they want to make a billboard out of the I Look Like an Engineer campaign and kind of crowdsource the photos that people have been sharing online over the last couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, it really, it reminded me of that kind of joke where, when a college is going, an elite Ivy League college is going to do a brochure, they run around and find the African-American students to put them in the brochure, and so it's like,
yeah.
Maybe you've experienced that. But, the truth is you were at, a great college. You were there. You were a student. And maybe, someone who was in high school would see that and say, like, I might fit in there.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, it's like she wasn't a model. She was an engineer. And it's the,
right.
Twitter is a great place to show immediately what people really look like.
Exactly.
So what do you say? I mean, there was this myth of merit, the meritocracy, like the tech industry, everybody gets where they are because of their merit. It's not like old traditional industries, and anyone who isn't in the job that they want to be in, that's just because of them. What do you say to people who make that argument?
Yes, merit does come into play. But if you kind of typically look at the way people kind of just like go about recruiting, a lot of it is through people's networks. And if there are already only certain of a people background, be that like, keep saying this, but I mean, it's true, just white men, then you're going to get more of them. And so that's why it's so important that tech companies actually implement these very deliberate strategies to go about getting people of diverse backgrounds. Because if you're just asking your employees for recommendations and your employees are of a particular group, then you're just going to keep getting more people like that.
Right. And the other thing I didn't mention about the I Look Like an Engineer is part of her Medium post was how she was treated as a woman in this industry, which wasn't great. So, it's not, when we read stories about that, when young girls read stories about that, that's not, that might be why they turn away from the tech industry. And, they may have all the merit. So let's talk about another story you wrote about the diversity in tech efforts. Tell us about Enza Academy.
Yeah, so Enza Academy, it's pretty new. And actually, it just came onto my radar just within the last week or so. But basically, it's a nonprofit organization that is trying to help kids, people of color, particularly low-income youth of color. They're using technology to help them address social issues. So the idea is that they'll kind of get involved in these workshops. So far, there have been, I believe three programs so far. The most recent one was this 5-day residential program at Stanford University. So this was totally free to these students. And basically they went through this intensive boot camp where they focused on coding, business development, and social issues. And over those 5 days, they also took field trips. They took a field trip to Facebook and met with people there. And basically the idea was just to show these kids that, that this could be a career path for them. And at the end of the 5 days, they broke out into groups. So there were about 26 people, so roughly groups of 5 they broke into, and then they presented their ideas. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it there, but actually one of our head of product, Nicole Wilk, she was actually a judge on the panel, and she said it was a really cool, it ended up being a really cool event with a good turnout.
So how do students get involved if they want to be part of this?
Yeah, so right now, they're actually when I was on the phone with Brandon Hill of Enza Academy, he was saying that right now the best way is to email them at enzaacademy.org, but that over the next couple of weeks, they'll actually be updating their website, and there will be more of a formal process for actually applying for this program. And it will always be free. They will never charge. They will never charge for it, which is pretty great.
Well, Megan, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else that you've been working on at TechCrunch that you can talk about?
Not that I can talk about, no.
I know you have a couple other stories up there that we haven't talked about. A great one about a startup that's making employees, turning them from contractors to full-time employees. That is definitely worth reading.
Sprig, yeah, definitely.
And then you'll be on Crunch Report tomorrow.
Yes, I will.
Crunch Week.
Crunch Week, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Megan Rose Dickey is a reporter at TechCrunch, and she's at Megan Rose Dickey on Twitter. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.
You too.
And finally tonight, the internet is on fire with complaints about an upcoming Time magazine cover for a story on virtual reality. When I first saw the cover myself, I thought it was a picture of a kid in virtual reality goggles, but it is really Palmer Luckey, the 22-year-old inventor of Oculus Rift. So some people have an issue with the hype and had very strong feelings about this being an absolutely wrong way to present VR to the non-geek world. Others took offense at the fact that Palmer Luckey appeared without shoes. For the record, I've been offended by Palmer Luckey's feet since E3 when he gave a keynote in flip-flops. But no matter how you feel about flip-flops, one thing is for sure. We do not know how to effectively portray the joy and beauty of VR in the media. And this isn't a new problem. Our marketing director, Glenn, dug up the cover of Popular Science from 1993. There it is. It's featuring the heavily hyped Sega VR that was, by the way, never released. So that was back in 1993. The only thing that's changed is the speed at which the Time cover was photoshopped mercilessly. You really don't have to go any further than Google to see all those pictures. And that is it for this edition of Tech News Tonight. We are on Facebook. You can like us to get links to the show when it's posted and the stories we talk about. And if you want to be part of the conversation, you can post a comment on the stories that we post. We'll read them right here. You can also write to us at tn2@twit.tv. John from Australia writes, you mentioned Pocket Casts, and I actually own Pocket Casts. It's also written by an Australian. I have his Pocket Weather, which is my favorite weather app. The problem is I want something I can use on my PC, my Apple TV, my iPhone, my iPad, since I watch my podcasts in a variety of ways and sync across all of my devices. I did a little bit of research, and it does look like you can't use Pocket Cast with Apple TV. But if anyone has a suggestion for John for a better podcast app than the native podcast app in iOS, write to me at megan@twit.tv or post it on our Facebook page. You can also subscribe to this show at twit.tv/TN2. And you can watch live every weekday at 4 p.m. Pacific. And don't miss our morning news program, Tech News Today, every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Megan Maroney. Thanks for watching.
Bandwidth for Tech News Tonight is brought to you by CashFly.com.